Hi, in this video we will go over the range extender mode for Skydog. The first step in setting up a range extender is to understand what firmware version is currently on your router. Simply click on the router button and see which firmware version you are running. If you are not running a version 4.4 and above, you'll need to do an upgrade. Simply click on Upgrade Firmware and go through the normal process to upgrade the firmware on your router. For the sake of the video, I'm going to skip ahead to where the firmware update is complete. Once the firmware update is complete, refresh your screen and go back to the router menu. You will notice that there is now a new option called Add Extender. Simply click the Add Extender button to start the process. Now, Skydog offers two configurations for a range extender mode. The first is called single zone configuration, and the second is called multi-zone configuration. Single zone means that the range extender will extend one service zone, and this configuration provides the maximum performance. Multi-zone means that the range extender will extend multiple zones. This feature is currently in beta. In single zone mode, simply connect to one of the ports on the gateway and the extender will extend the zone that is tied to that port. In fact, you can have multiple extenders in single zone configuration, each which can extend a different zone if needed. The next step is to enter the UIC of the device that you wish to put into range extender mode. Then simply enter a name for the extender and you can hit submit. Now let's take a look at multi-zone configuration. In multi-zone configuration, you have to pick a specific port to plug the extender into, and you have to designate that port as an extender. Now simply add the UIC and enter a name for the device that you want in extender mode. Select your port to connect the multi-zone extender. Then hit submit. At this point, you must now connect the extender. To do this, you must connect an Ethernet cable from one of the yellow LAN ports on the gateway to the blue WAN port on the extender. Click OK when the hardware is set. You will notice that the screen will automatically refresh, and at the top, the button that used to say router now says hardware. Click on that button and you can see the gateway and now the extender. The current status says not called home. You will see this while the range extender starts to boot up and starts to communicate to the gateway and the cloud service. You need to keep clicking on the hardware button in order to get fresh updates on what is happening. For example, now here you see that it has moved on to updating the firmware of the range extender. The firmware update can take up to 5 minutes, so please be patient. Now we check the status again, and after updating the firmware, it moves on to the starting stage. As you continue to check the status, you will notice it goes through different stages to set up your range extender. And finally, your range extender will be fully updated and ready to go when it reaches the OK stage. The next thing to notice are the different options that have changed in the menu now that you have a range extender. So you can do a restart, factory reset, and configure your radio and switch ports on the gateway just like you used to. But you can also do all of those things now on the range extender. You'll also notice that firmware updates are now moved in the main menu. When you do an update to the firmware, it will update both the range extender and the gateway. Now if you look at the configuring the switch ports setting, you'll notice there are now two sets of ports, one for the gateway and one for the extender. As you add more extenders, you will see additional sets of ports show up in this interface. Now you are all set up. The great thing about this solution is that the SSID on your gateway is identical to the SSID on the range extender. This means that you can seamlessly roam between multiple extenders and your gateway without any interruption to service. If your wireless devices are already talking to the gateway, they will continue to talk to the range extenders with zero configuration. That's the conclusion of our video. Thank you very much.